All right, everybody, welcome to Entrepreneurs International Network, our weekly training call with a leading expert in an area of all across the board, but in entrepreneurship, marketing, personal growth, you name it. We are every week we bring to you a leader that can contribute some information and some knowledge to you that will help your business in some really wonderful ways. And we have a really special guest here with us today. This gentleman I'm about to introduce to you all is someone who has spoken on. Let me start off with just saying, for those of you that don't know, my name is Robert Evans. I'm co-founder of a technology company called Action Era. Action Era owns Entrepreneurs International Network. So I usually host these calls each week. Either that or my business partner Iman Guy, and we bring to this call some of the people that we admire and we work with, and we put on our stages, our other stages that we have to educate you on a variety of different topics. And it's really cool. I really like the particular topic today because it's very relevant to all of you here, because the expert, Sunil, who I will bring on in just a second, is an expert in the area of Meetup. And that's how you guys got here. So, and I'm pretty sure you guys know this because we share this information with you ahead of time. But I love the fact that we do what we do here in the way we do it. And there's a lot of really wonderful results that we get from this. And Sunil's actually going to talk about how you can do the same thing for your own business. Very excited about it. Now, sometimes we do interview style and sometimes we do presentation style. I recommended Sunil to do a presentation or a training to all of you because I want you to get as much nuggets and knowledge from him without me getting in the way. So I'm going to kind of sit back and listen, and I might jump in every once in a while with a question or comment or whatever. But I really want Sunil to give you as much as he can here in the next 55 minutes that we have here together. So let me bring Sunil on right now. Let me get my mouse to work. Where's my mouse? That's weird. Oh, my mouse is dead.
Oh,
hold on a second.
yeah.
That's awesome. Just good timing. Yeah, never fails.
It's all good.
Literally, the mouse died. All right, let's try that. Plug it in. All right. Well, good thing is I got a touchpad on my laptop here. All right, so let me bring Sunil on. All right. There we are. So, hey Sunil, good to see you, bud.
Good to see you.
So let me. I usually I have an official. Actually, I have it here, but I'm gonna have to use my mouse. I'm gonna give you guys the official introduction to Sunil, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my experience with them. Here we go, right here. Here it is. Okay. There we go. I think I have it. Sorry, everybody. I'm usually a little bit better organized than this. Or, I don't know, maybe some people tell me I'm not. So, here it is. So Sunil Bhaskaran. Am I saying that? I'm saying that, right? Right? Close enough, at least?
It's Bhaskaran, but yeah, it's
Bhaskaran.
good. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Sunil Bhaskaran has mentored tens of thousands of entrepreneurs to be joyfully and successful through speaking, books, podcasts, keynotes, trainings, workshops, and coaching. He has built listen to this. This is one of the reasons why we listen to Sunil, a 200,000 plus community of business entrepreneurs and professionals globally. His Meetup Webinar Sales Engine program was created and is designed to make affordable webinar marketing available to everyone who is starting out in the complicated world of webinar marketing, finding their grounding, establishing traction, and gaining momentum to make a business and a life that works for them. So that's the official introduction. Sunil has actually spoken on multiple of our stages. We've actually ourselves have gone through Sunil's training and his entire program to leverage Meetup as a tool for introducing content to people all over the world through Meetup groups. He has and has just been an invaluable resource for us in a lot of different ways within our own business. So I think it's highly appropriate and perfect for Sunil here in the second week of January to come on and talk about his system and his approach to using Meetup to introduce your business and your message and your products and programs and whatever it is that you have to offer through webinars through the Meetup technology. So I'm just he's just a super friendly and amazing guy to be around, and I'm honored to have him here today. So Sunil, thank you very much for being here with us today.
A real pleasure, Robert. Thank you, and thank you, Becky, as well, for setting this up.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a short presentation, and I'm going to keep it as short as I can. And just to give you an overall idea, and then I'm going to invite you all to ask questions in the Q&A that's coming up here pretty soon.
Cool.
So let me share my screen,
Right.
and I apologize for this not being full screen, but let's jump into this. So the title today is Get Clients, Fill Webinars, Get Speaking Gigs, and Expand Your Sales Spending. It's probably the prices just went up a little bit, so it's still about maybe $300 a month or less, just to say conservatively your total costs could be on an average per month, which I think is quite a good deal. So today the intentions are for this training is how you can fill your webinars that you use to promote your business and get clients. How you can do this with a unique combination of Meetup, LinkedIn, Alignable, and Google platforms, and how I use the system to build a 200,000 plus audience, solopreneurs around the world, and how you can as well. And I said the training is discounted to 147, but that's not true. This is from a very old PowerPoint. Again, my apologies, but what I'm going to offer is a discovery session with me where you can ask questions and I can help you customize this training to you in particular, because this is going to be a very general kind of training on how the system works. But the beauty is always in the details and the nuances that each of you have. So I'm pleased to say that this system's been used by people with different kinds of needs, different kinds of approaches, and it's worked really well. Primarily because I work with the people and my clients to make sure it's customized to what you need. A little bit about me. I think Robert did a great job introducing me. I'm also the founder and CEO of what's called the Global Small Business School, which is we provide affordable trainings to solopreneurs around the world. I'm an author of 2 books published on Amazon, including one called More Money, More Time, Less Stress. I've been a speaker, corporate trainer, and a difference maker, especially in the world of hunger and poverty, as well as climate. And so that's just a little bit about me, and you might discover more about me as I share more. And of course, I invite you to ask questions in the Q&A. And I've spoken at JVX Live. I've been speaking since really 1991. But this meetup strategy has really increased my profile as a speaker, and I can share about that too. The former CEO of Meetup, David Siegel, around 2020, when COVID broke out, I met him, and you're looking at the person who convinced Meetup to go online. So Meetup's now online and has online events. It used to be a limited sense online, but now it's fully online. You have that option of doing online webinars and to promote those webinars using Meetup. And my understanding is many of you have some Meetups or are Meetup owners. So it's a pleasure to meet you. And I hope this training gives you even better idea of more opportunities you can use to use your Meetup system to do your business. A couple of testimonials. Again, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. So feel free to take notes as I go along. But Sean Stewart, some of you may know Sean Stewart is a well-known coach and an expert in our expert field. And he used our system, and we we had 97 opt-ins. Usually, it's results can of course vary, but typically, we can get anywhere from 40 to 60 to 100 opt-ins for your email list, which is people registering for your webinar. Usually about one third to half of those people will show up, and you can lead an educational program, just kind of like what I'm doing right now, and then lead them to a sale or a discovery session to upsell them to your program. And that's pretty much what Sean did as well. And there are a couple of websites about me. You can go to meetupmoneymakingsecrets.com to get a free guide. And we also have a done for you program as well as a done with you program. And if you're interested in this, again, I'll be providing the link you can go to set up a discovery session for me. That link is actually meetupchat.com. So meetupchat.com will give you the opportunity to schedule a time with me if you choose to. So many of you probably know what a webinar is and why it does work well for your business, but just in case you don't, you can use webinars to do an educational presentation, which you can use to build trust, create intrigue about what you do, and thus get clients that way. The side effect of doing a webinar is you also build an email list. It's a good side effect. And then you can continue to email people who come through the system, even if they don't attend your webinar, with other intriguing topics and turn them into clients. The webinars also attract collaborators. One of the things I discovered in the second year of doing meetups, which is around 2008, 2009, was that I was getting a lot of invitations to collaborate because people transparently saw what I was doing on Meetup and they wanted to participate. Similarly, I started getting speaking opportunities because interestingly, when they did a search uh, for marketing consultants, Silicon Valley, they never found my website, but they found my Meetup groups. And this should be a big hint to a lot of you that if you do this right, you can actually position your Meetup strategy to elevate your searchability as a speaker. And I would get hired as a speaker that way. Webinar also attracts other opportunities like better podcast opportunities. So if you do this right and you design this right, this meaning this Meetup system I'm about to introduce you to, then you can produce quite extraordinary results. So when you look at options for marketing your webinars, these are some of the common options that are out there. You can do Facebook or other kinds of paid ads. Various business partners and I have done extensive studies on Facebook ads and Google ads. And, we've actually had some people expose their dashboards to us. And we've come to the conclusion that to fill a webinar or with ads, it's a minimum spend of about 10 grand plus 5 grand to a marketing agency to help you run it. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, obviously, but they're very rare. So you're looking at something very expensive to do when you're doing paid ads. Eventbrite, not a bad way to do it, but also very competitive. So it's very hard to position your webinars on Eventbrite. And if I'm going too fast, or if I'm going too much information, feel free to pop in questions into the chat box and I'll make sure I answer all the questions. Podcasts can work to fill up your webinars too, but again, it's a very slow build. Speaking is a very good strategy to use to fill your webinars, if not your clientele. But it's kind of a chicken and egg problem. To get really good speaking gigs, you need to have an audience of some sort or demonstrate that you have credibility in speaking. And so the Meetup system enables you to have a webinar almost every week. And you'll be getting audiences from 24 different cities across the United States. So you can actually put on your LinkedIn profile, once you get the system up and running, that you speak to your audience in 24 cities and you speak every week. And after a year, you can say that you speak, every year you speak at least 50 times to a nationwide audience. That builds a very good branding for you as a speaker. And joint ventures are great too, but again, it's a chicken or egg situation where to get a really good joint venture, you have to have an audience. And Meetup is a pretty good way to build an audience, to start getting better joint venture partners. And people can actually transparently see the size of your audience and how much engagement you get, etc. Networking is very good, but it's time consuming. And there are other options for marketing your webinar as well, but these are the main ones that I've seen. I just wanted to give you a sense of what are the options there. I'm in no shape or form saying don't do any of these. By all means, explore them. But these are the typical pros and cons for some of the options for marketing your webinar. The benefits of this system is that it's affordable. And the system, works by combining the positive effects of meetup.com with Alignable, which is another platform, which is probably going to be the LinkedIn for small business people like us, the LinkedIn platform itself, and the Google backbone. The cost per month right now, like I said, it's actually come up to about, and we have admins that are very affordable that you can use to run the system. Some of it's very manually run. But it still comes up to about an average of about $300 to $400 per month, or roughly about $3,600 for the year to about $4,000 for the year, mind you. So that's, I think, still makes it very affordable and very effective to do. After the setup, the only time we spend is in presenting webinars and fine-tuning the webinars, making it better. So you become a better presenter and can focus on that rather than everything else. The system runs by itself, and also with the help of admins that are low cost. You can the only thing you have to do is show up at the webinars. The first stage is to build out your webinar attendance, and then once you get your webinars going, you can actually start leveraging your webinar attendances, your sizes of your groups to get more speaking gigs, better joint ventures, and then expand your market maybe nationwide or even globally, because meetup.com is in 197 countries around the world. So I have a global presence. I do webinars to Southeast Asia, to Europe, to the United States as I wish. I mostly focus in the United States because it tends to be a better market, but I do it nationwide. And here are a couple more testimonials. I've worked, actually, Venkat is the founder or co-founder of alignable.com. He and I have become very good friends. The reason I'm sharing this is we've also, I work with the teams at Meetup and Alignable to really make sure that I can use both of their platforms to serve my clients. And Venkat has been a great partner with me in making that happen. I want to describe this system as best as I can. Now, some of you may see this diagram and run for the hills because it looks very complicated, but I'm going to uncomplicate it. And this is the system, and we call it the Meetup Webinar Sales Engine system. And so if you look at the left-hand side of the diagram, you'll see we have a set of meetup groups. That's typically 24 different meetup groups that we help you set up. And they're set up in different cities. So if you're a life coach, for example, you could do Life Coaching Breakthrough Los Angeles as one meetup group. Life Coaching Breakthrough New York is another group. Life Coaching Dallas, Life Coaching San Francisco, so on and so forth, until you get 24 cities. You can do less than that if you want to start out lower, but we recommend doing 24. Now, testing, we found that 24 groups really gets you really good traction very quickly. You can also have an alignable account, which is you can get a free alignable account and post your webinars, the same webinar event, which is online, obviously, and post those webinar events in all the meetup groups as well as your alignable account, which will help get people into your webinar event. So let's say you do a webinar event on February 15th at 4 p.m. You'll post that event at that date and time, the same event with the same registration link in all these 24 groups. So it's kind of like you want to think of like 24 ocean-going vessels that bring people to your webinar. So you get people from New York, from Los Angeles, from your Alignable account. You can even promote it on your LinkedIn account. You can promote it anywhere you want, but your meetup groups are probably going to be the ones that feed you the most people. And then, so you do your webinar, which is typically a 30-minute, 25-minute event, and then you do a Q&A. The Q&A is really where you sell people and where you really engage people. In our trainings, we actually train people how to do the webinars also, so they are effective in converting. And then as you attract joint venture partners, you can also promote the same webinar to their people. So you can see that this supercharges your webinar events. So imagine if you're doing a webinar every week, it's what we kind of recommend, 4 times a month, 4 to 5 times a month, or at least minimum of 2 webinar events a month. You can combine educational events with networking events and get even more people coming into your email lists. From the webinar event, you can, usually what we recommend is you offer a discovery session. That could be 25 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how you want to do that. The people who don't attend your webinar event, but register, will go into your email list, which is fairly easy to move into your email list. And you can offer those people in the email list your discovery sessions from time to time, or offer them a workshop, or offer them to become a client directly. The basic idea is you can continue to market them. I make actually more money from my email list than from my webinar events directly. So, and while this is going on, you can, as you're building the credibility of your meetup groups, you want to expose that you have meetup groups to potential joint ventures and speaking organizations that you can find on LinkedIn to get speaking gigs and get clients that way as well. So I hope that clarifies somewhat to some point how the system works, or how it could work for you and how it could be of benefit to you as well. Can you do this yourself? It's kind of tough to do. Many people have tried. There are just too many nuances and complications and details that I figured out in the last 15 years or so. You'll have to figure those out yourself. Most people fall short and they do it themselves. But like I say, it's a democracy. You can try it, but it's kind of tough to do. It yourself. So I said here again, register for the 147. I'm not gonna. We don't offer that program anymore. The easiest way to start, and you can ignore this page. My apologies again for the confusion of this slide, but you can just sign up for a discovery session. And what I'll do is I'll post the discovery session here. And I see some questions coming in. I promise you I'll answer your questions. I'll put my link to get the discovery chat here. So you can go to that link and apply for a discovery session with me. Okay, and now it's possible to build a 10,000 member market audience within a year. I've seen many people do it with this system. And of course, it depends on how fast you want to go. Some of my clients are slow movers, which is fine. Sometimes slow movers do really well in the long term. Some people are faster movers. So you can go according to your pace, is what I'm saying. So at this point, I'm happy to take questions. I know I posed a couple of questions here, but I'm happy to take questions at this point. So, all right, Matthew has just booked the session. That's great. I look forward to talking with you. All right, let's see. Tony, so what tool do you use to conduct? I'm going to actually stop sharing so I can actually be with all of you. Tony, are you there? Can you unmute yourself? And
Let me help with that. 1 second.
okay.
Tony, where are you? There you are, Tony. Go ahead. You good? You should be able to unmute now.
Yeah, sorry about that. I
No
was
worries.
just driving and just got.
Okay, well, just stay
Yeah,
safe.
so
Yeah, stay safe. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no. So I just started with a company that manufactures or has created a AI platform. Okay, and
Uh,
so we just, I have an ICP targeted outreach using LinkedIn, as I mentioned. It seems like you can click on LinkedIn,
Hey,
but
hey, Tony, real quick, we're
with
losing your audio here, bud. We're losing your audio.
it's a little hard to hear you,
sorry
Tony.
about that.
Yeah.
You're breaking up pretty bad.
Why don't I answer your question that you post in the chat box, Tony, and then when you get to a place that we can hear you, we'll take your question again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back in.
Okay. All right. So what tool do you use to conduct the webinar? We use mostly Zoom, but you can use any tool you want as long as it provides a registration link where people can register their full name and email address, because you won't get that directly from Meetup, at least not the Meetup platforms that the Meetup um, cost structure that we use. Okay. So you want to have a link, as long as that link can register a first name or a full name and an email address, you're good to go. So you can use GoToMeeting, probably, I think, that can register and get people's names and emails, or Zoom, where you use the Zoom registration link. And then where are you storing your attendee data? Well, you actually some people have actually automated and used uh, their own website registration. So they register people directly, and that goes directly into the email list. But the other way, it's not very hard to do, is if you use Zoom and use the Zoom registration link, from Zoom you can download attendee data, which means basically their first name, last name, and email address. And if you want to include phone number, you can as well, because I know some of you have apps that do that. So you can do all of that. And that can be stored directly into your email system. Some people have used Zapier and automated that whole system, so they don't even have to worry about it. So you can do that as well. I believe you can use HubSpot. I've never really used that myself, but I'm pretty sure you can. And they probably have an API. If not, they have a registration link that they can post on Meetup. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question on that, Tony.
Go ahead. You can unmute.
Go ahead, Tony.
All right. Hey, yeah, thanks. Sorry. Now that I got, hopefully this is a little bit better.
A lot better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, what you're talking about is a very valid point. My goal is, with the subsequent outreach, account-based marketing, I looked at, I've been a Salesforce guy, but I said I really liked HubSpot's marketing capabilities, sending out emails and so forth. So my point, as you were talking about, what my concern is amplification of the messages, right? It's getting those attendees. We are, we're building out an AI platform, and you don't just, what I'm finding is, last month I had 60 people on one Zoom webinar. Tomorrow is only got 15, right?
Right.
And I'm not looking at, different channels. That's why I liked your comment about, multiple groups, and I was posting like the registration, in LinkedIn, but I haven't tried Alignable, so I don't really know much about that.
Yeah.
But so the whole point is integration, conduct the webinar, obviously, and then you could store it. And then, the
Okay.
people that may have registered but had not shown up, you can still send them a copy of it so that you can continue to cultivate that relationship. But
Yeah. If you're asking all that can happen, yeah, it can happen. And if you're using HubSpot, or even I know a lot of you use Go High Level, you can do that and integrate that very well with this system because it works independently of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I can answer a couple things about that too, is that Meetup is very integrated in with a lot of platforms, but especially through Zapier. So, I mean, HubSpot or any other of the major platforms, Go High Level and whatever, what is it called now? Fusion, old Infusionsoft, that sort of thing. So, and that's the thing that you want to do. I mean, I would say what I would add to this is that if you go about this approach, especially if you have a conversation with Sunil so that he can talk to you specifically about your business and your needs, if you go about this particular approach of getting in front of a regular audience every single week or a couple times a month at the very minimum, you want to automate it. You want to make sure that the people that are coming in and that are registering for these webinars are going into your CRM, going into automations, going into reminder emails, and follow-ups and that sort of thing. And that's how you convert not just the people that show up on the call that sign up for a discovery session or whatever, but convert people in other ways. So, and it's, nowadays it's easy enough to do that. So you'd want to do that.
Yeah, great.
Cool. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you,
Anybody else
Tony.
have any questions?
Anna Beaumont, I think, had a question. Anna, do you want to unmute yourself? And your question is, how do you make money from your email list getting
Go
private?
ahead, Anna.
Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Anna.
You had mentioned that you said that it was, you make more money from your email list. Does that just mean one-to-one clients? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, your email list, you can do practically any kind of marketing. But, if you're looking for one-on-one, I would continue to offer the discovery session that you provide or maybe providing to them, or a low-cost workshop, whatever your sales funnel is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I understand now. There's all the things that I am currently doing on my email list. Yes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
And, are you a coach? I mean, it sounds like you're a coach. Is that correct?
I teach voice, so it's the natural voice is my work.
Okay, I see. Okay. Natural voice for
Senior speakers and seekers.
I see. Speakers and seekers. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. The beauty is always in the nuances and the exceptions to the rule. So, if you want to learn more about how it pertains particularly to you and the speaking industry, and we have many clients who are from the speaking industry who use Meetup to promote their programs. We can talk more about that if you wish to,
Right.
independently. Did you have another question, Anna? Or
I just wondered, so did you say that, so somebody just signed up for a discovery call? What was it? That was the price for the discovery call?
it's really expensive.
With-
It's
with-
like totally
with you?
free. Oh, oops, I got a wrong one there. Sorry.
Oh,
I got
it's
it here.
free.
There you go.
Yeah, it's all of free.
Okay.
Totally free.
So-
There
Yeah.
and book it. Okay.
Iman has told me to charge a lot more money, but it's one of the rare moments I'm very uncoachable.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so it's free right now.
Yeah. One of the things I'd love to add to this is that what I love about this is that, the approach to getting people on webinars in the typical fashion for most people is very saturated, very, very saturated, I mean, especially if you're just constantly going back to your same list that you have to hoping that the people that didn't respond the 50 other times that you invited them to thing will actually respond. And what I like about the Meetup building approach that Sunil teaches and he's mastered in so many ways and helping other people master it is that it's not everybody's doing it. Not that many people know that this is something that you can do, that you can create 24 groups all across the country and invite them, which is an expanding group, to come and learn something that leads to a call that leads to a sale. Everybody else is still doing the social media promotions, joint ventures is still very effective, but the joint venture approach, but this is not something that many people do. And I like to go to the places that work that not everybody else is at. And that's why I think this is so great.
That's very smart. It's a smart. I come from a tech background, so what Robert said is really bang on. You want to look at where people are not aggregating in large crowds, because inevitably prices will go up. It's simple law, demand and supply, right? So if the resource of getting you in front of eyeballs is very scarce, the price of that's going to go up. When I did the math on Meetup, the ratio of people doing webinars to the number of people who are on Meetup, it's about 60, 70 million people. That ratio is much more favorable to you. It's far less competition compared to Facebook, where I think when I did the math, it's barely like 60 to 100 people that you could access possibly, over a year. So it's not in your favor unless you spend a lot more money on Facebook to get you in front of more people per unit time. But on Meetup, they're not quite at the level of Facebook, so it's still building. So it's in your favor to do that. I hope that makes sense, and I'm not getting too geeky about this.
Thank you.
But that's what I saw in 2007, and the cash register in my brain went ding, 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 and I went, oh, this is a really good idea. And you want to keep looking for opportunities like that. That's why I found Alignable too. And then I discovered that when I combine Alignable with Meetup, with LinkedIn, see, these three websites are very searchable sites, and they don't necessarily compete with Google, but Facebook does. You follow me? So that means they're more likely to promote your sites on, especially when you have 24 websites on Meetup at each city. You're building your searchability at a better rate. And when you're cross-linking 24 with your website and LinkedIn profiles and Alignable profiles, you're building more buzz about yourself. So I wanted to point that out. Also, on top of that, every time someone RSVPs for an event, it's kind of like user-generated content, which you don't have to write. So it keeps tickling the Google spider and going, wow, there's something about Anna Beaumont's 24 groups and her LinkedIn, and they're all connected. So I'm gonna put upward pressure on her being found for these kinds of search keywords. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something else to consider in this game. Yeah.
I heard something interesting yesterday that I'd like to share, because an area that I'm really diving into is LinkedIn marketing, and LinkedIn content marketing. And I was talking to a guy who's been in the LinkedIn world, in a big way, teaches other people how to use LinkedIn, and he was telling me that now don't quote my exact numbers here, but this is kind of maybe a ratio of numbers. LinkedIn has somewhere right around 300 million users, but like only 10%, about 3 million of those users are actually posting content on a regular basis, which means that actually LinkedIn is starving for content. So which also means that their algorithm of showing your content to a lot more people will increase if you're one of the content generators. Now, how does this relate to what we're talking about here today with Sunil? Well, what Sunil is talking about here is using these different systems between Meetup, especially being the primary, and Alignable and LinkedIn, is what you are doing every time you do a webinar each week is that you're creating content. And if you take this content, like if we took this content here today and we carved it up into shorts and clips and that sort of thing, and each week we had enough to post something every single day on LinkedIn, we can tap into that world there that most people aren't tapping into. So kind of think of it this way, is that this whole strategy that Sunil is really is teaching people is using a platform to get people on to a webinar every single week to build your list. So there's two things that are happening. You're able to present and get people engaged with you, and you're at the same time building a list that exists inside of Meetup, and a list that will land on your email list. And you're creating content that you can repurpose and put on platforms like LinkedIn that desperately needs content that will likely show your content to a lot of people. So I think this is pretty amazing approach to doing it. And I love the fact, Sunil, that you've really aligned those three particular platforms together into your system.
Yeah, it's a distinction I call cross-platforming, when you combine the best features of several platforms, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. So you use the best, you leverage the best of each platform. Yeah.
Mathis, you have a few questions. You mind if I
Yeah.
unmute you? You can ask them. Yeah. All right, go for it. You can unmute now.
Yeah, so I run a consulting business essentially, and I just help contractors scale their business with sales, marketing, and operations. So I guess my question is like, would you see like contractors or home service entrepreneurs hanging out at these places like Alignable?
Yeah, on Alignable, naming those categories again one more time, just to make sure I answer rigorously. Yeah.
Yeah, like home service business owners.
Yeah, I mean, on actually home service, probably on Meetup as well as on Alignable. On Alignable, they're actually searchable. So I know you
Okay.
set up a time to talk, but I can show you how to do that and how
Oh
to
yeah,
leverage Alignable as well for what you're doing. Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, I can show you how to do that. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Appreciate it. That's
You
it.
had a couple other questions in here too. What's a good email platform? I mean, you
Yeah.
can use almost any if you're starting out.
Mm-hmm.
Active campaign is what I use, but it's a little expensive. Uh,
Yeah.
but go high level works pretty well from what I'm gathering. Uh,
Okay.
and so I mean, you can, or even MailChimp to start out with is not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one I use right now is MailChimp.
Yeah. Just
Mhm.
stick with that. I mean, don't get too, I have a double degree in electrical engineering and computer science, and I tell people it's more important, it's less important to try and figure out what platform, but it's more important to design your sales funnel right. Because
Mm,
you want to design for a Porsche. You don't
okay.
want to just throw something up on the wall and get a Yugo. A Yugo is a very old car.
You go.
Hmm.
I
Some of
love
you are
that.
laughing because you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know
Uh,
that.
it's not a very good car. So
Okay.
because they didn't really design it. And the truth is, most people have a business that's not well designed.
Mm,
So you want to really design, and that's where I come in. See, I can look at what you're doing and design it right, probably save
mm,
you a ton of money. Most people don't need a lot of the platforms they talk about.
hmm.
AI, it's very great. It's going to grow really fast. And we're starting to use a lot of AI ourselves with our clients, especially when you get a recording of a webinar, you can generate amazing AI content that you can
Mm.
post everywhere. But anyway, I'm digressing.
Makes sense.
But
Yeah, yeah.
my point is learn the design first and think about platforms later. Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Cool.
Solid. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Sure.
Matthew. All
Let's
right. Anybody else have any other questions? If you do, you can just wave at me if your camera's on, or throw something at me if you want. Or raise your hand, virtually raise your hand. All right.
Tony had a question. I'm not sure what he means, but do you have a target client list? Anyway, Tony, can you clarify the question, maybe, Tony? Yeah.
I was just answering Matthew's question.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Anybody else with questions or?
All right. So, all right. Yeah, I'm unmuted. So, awesome. This is great. I was I'm very much looking forward to you coming in here and talking. I mean, we're obviously a company that embraces this whole concept because this is what EIN is all about. I think here's the thing, Sunil, that I want to acknowledge with you, and that is the first time I ever saw you talking about this, you were talking about Meetup, right? But you've expanded this and you've connected these other worlds together in a way that really makes a lot of sense. Alignable obviously has become a lot more popular. Do you know the numbers on Alignable? Do you know how many people?
9 million people and growing. Yeah.
How many?
9 million people.
9 million people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then of course, LinkedIn is one of the biggies. But especially the LinkedIn connection there, is to make those things those work together. So I'm really I've really seen this evolved and to the point where we really need to look at some of these new things too. So I appreciate that.
Well, the AI is also getting better. It wasn't so good about a year, but it's getting infinitely better now because I've done some investigations. And so we'll be incorporating a lot more AI into the game as well. And so stay tuned for that innovation. That might be another 6 months to a year. Yeah.
So I'm curious if people want to, be updated by you on the things that you're doing? Is there a way that they can get on your list so that you, when you do start adding AI, there's a way for you to notify them? Do you have a opt-in page, or do you want them to email you or something like that?
Yeah, you can, I'll post it here. You can go to meetupmoneymakingsecrets.com and opt in there.
Cool.
And it'll also give you a downloadable PDF that you can peruse for how to run your meetup groups, etc. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap
I
up the
think
call?
Bob G had a question, how to scale a group. I'm not sure what he means by that. I think I do, but I just want to clarify. So,
Let me see if I can unmute Bob here. Go ahead, Bob, if you want to ask that question. Why don't you go ahead and answer that just based off what do you think he's asking?
well, I mean, scaling a group, I mean, you can grow as many groups as you want, but you're limited by the number of cities. And I would suggest, doing 24 groups. And we have a list of all the top cities, depending on your market and what you do. And increased
So
number of.
yeah, he's wondering about more members. So uh you have a group that has, let's say, 100 members in it. How do you get to double that?
Well, essentially, you may have to follow the rules of the internet, which means if you do more webinars, Meetup is more incentivized to promote your group. So the mistake a lot of people do is they do one webinar a month, or they do one webinar every 2 months, and that loses a lot of traction. There are a couple other reasons too why people haven't gotten a lot of members out of Meetup. I kind of cracked the code on a lot of. One is you also got to select the right target markets, because Meetup can set you up to target 15 different target markets. I know the right target markets. Most people select the wrong target markets because intuitively they think it should be this, but it's not really. So
So does Meetup like have some, and I don't know if this is the right word for it, but some kind of algorithm that's looking for a Meetup group that does something consistently, and then they'll maybe put them up towards the top of the
oh,
search
definitely, yeah,
engine?
they
Yeah.
they do, yeah. So
Okay.
it's like most things on the internet. How often you post, which means how often you have a webinar, how often you change things, is what you're doing as topics relevant to what people are looking for. So those are the things to pay attention to if you want to scale. And they tried paid ads on Meetup, but it never worked. But I think because they've been doing it for so long, they have a pretty decent algorithm if you do things right on Meetup. Basically, if you do good content, you message it correctly, then you can scale up.
Yeah. I think my prediction is that most people, when they think about Meetup, they think about meeting up in person in a local area. They don't think about the fact that when COVID came, that had to completely pivot to online. Is the online side of Meetup bigger now than the in-person side?
Yeah, substantially so. Although in person is coming back, but more people got kind of used to being on webinars, and they discovered it's more cost effective and they don't have to travel, book a room, which can be expensive too, and kind of
Yeah.
difficult to manage. And it's a lot of people like me from time to time will do a hybrid event where it's both in person. So, we have something called a traveling show strategy where people travel with an RV from city to city. They do an in-person event in a city that they travel to, but they also transmit it live to all the other city meetup groups that they have.
Nice.
So you can do that as well if you'd like to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, get on the road, huh? Quick question about Meetup. I mean, I'm not the one that handles the Meetup. That's Becky. So,
Yeah.
so I'm asking almost from a very, very naive standpoint here.
Mhm.
Does Meetup allow you to just post content and not events? Meaning, can you post a video, some kind of piece of content so that you can increase the likelihood that the algorithm will want to put you in front of more people?
To a certain extent, you can, but it doesn't get email. Uh, to a certain extent, you can, but you'd have to use their email system to do that.
So you posted something and then you email your members that you've posted something. So in other words, they're not getting a notification that something new has been posted. They have to be notified of that.
Yeah, they got rid of that functionality because I think they want to just focus on events.
Yeah.
But they have an email system where you can promote your content as well. But to be truthful about it, it's not as effective as doing events. You just get more activity from events because the algorithms are kind of set up for that.
Yeah. Gotcha. Mathis is asking, have you ever, do you know anything about the school platform?
I know a little bit about it. I know it's an online kind of school. But what is it? I mean, I don't have any particular thoughts about it. I mean, apart from, again, it's one of those questions where I think you have to look at what you're going to get out of the school platform, what results. See, when I look at I don't look at platforms, I look at design strategies first. Like, what's the design going to get me in terms of a return on investment? How many more clients? What kinds of clients? And then I look at the platform after that. So you got to define your criteria first, Matthias. That's probably a better question to ask is what's your criterion, and then what's the best platform based on your criteria. Then now you're building a Porsche, or a Mercedes Benz, or Tesla, whatever. Yeah.
Tesla. All right, cool. Or not a Yugo. I mean, that's
Not a
funny
Yugo.
you said Yugo,
Or
yeah.
a spaghetti on the wall car.
Yugo you can put in your pocket kind of car. So, well, I posted the Sunil's link to schedule a chat with him. It's totally free, and I say, why not? I mean, why not get on a call with someone that's built a community and access to over 200,000 people through this system that he's created to have that conversation. And I know that one of the things that I've always heard is that, Sunil, you're so generous with your knowledge when you have those conversations. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, let's get you all to book that session if you haven't already. And Sunil, I do very much appreciate you taking the time out of your day today, and I kind of threw you the curveball and said, hey, why don't you do a presentation rather than an interview. So here we go. We have one more question here. What's your site if we have more questions? So I'll post that again for you. That's
Okay.
I'm putting that in the chat right now. That's his site, where you can get access to him, to Sunil.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here for our Entrepreneurs International Networks training call. We'll see you next week. Sunil, you're awesome. I appreciate you. And Becky, thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you,
And have a great rest of your week, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.